In this video, I'm going to show you a very simple trick on how to treat and fix a curvature, whether it's Peyronie's or a congenital curvature, and it's actually based on a scientific device and it's backed by scientific data. And I'm going to show you this very simple and effective technique, and I have a lot of experience, and it's actually how I treated and fixed my curvature. It's going to be a very short but sweet video, so let's get started. Okay, so first a little bit of background. This is what I call the stick trick. And the stick trick is essentially something that I learned how to do throughout the years, and it's based on something called the RestoreX. So the RestoreX device is essentially a device that was created by a mechanical engineer who became a urologist, and he invented this thing called the RestoreX. The RestoreX is it's very expensive, about $500, and it's patented, and it's actually endorsed by the medical community, and it's actually prescribed, and it's even covered by some insurances. It also has some scientific studies, and so yeah, the scientific studies have proven that it reduces curvature, and it's very effective, even though you only have to wear about 90 minutes a day. I've talked about the RestoreX and how to utilize those scientific studies to make a routine, so make sure you check out this video on how to use the RestoreX to create a scientific routine to gain length, and how you can gain potentially up to an inch in about a year if you follow the scientific studies and you follow the data and how they actually prove that this is possible. So in any case, the way that this works is that you have the device, and then this white lines is what's called is for dynamic tension adjustment. I'm gonna have a video specifically on what dynamic tension adjustment is. This video specifically is about the stick trick, and the way that the stick trick works is basically based on this other mechanism from the RestoreX. So what the RestoreX does is allows you to create angle traction. So let's say you have a curvature on the penis that goes up. This is called a dorsal curvature. So going up is called dorsal, going down is called ventral, and going to the sides is called like a lateral curve. You can even have hourglassing. In this video, I'm focusing only on a dorsal curvature or a ventral curvature. I'm going to have separate videos for how to treat a lateral curvature or hourglassing. So the stick trick is mostly for upwards and downwards curvature, and essentially the way that it works is that, let's say that you have an upwards curvature, you put your penis here and you clamp it down. This is very I don't like this clamping mechanism, but it's not dangerous, it's just very uncomfortable. And so you create this fulcrum, and you can create very acute tractions up. That's like the highest that you can go. That's the highest degree of curvature that you can create, counter curvature. And so let's say that you have an upwards curvature, you place it here fully flaccid, and you create counter traction, and you basically are supposed to put this in the fulcrum, in the deepest part of the curvature, and that's how you treat a curvature. And so a couple things that I don't like: I'm not a fan of very extreme angles. Mainly because I've seen in the Peyronie's forums how, like, what actually ends up happening is it actually ends up indenting the underside of the penis, or the other side of the penis. And so yes, while it actually reduces the curvature, the penis ends up looking a little bit indented on the other side when guys use the very extreme traction. The very extreme angles. And so I'm not a fan of that. Just something to keep in mind when using the RestoreX. And you can just go and Google this, or go to the Peyronie Society forums and Google and search for RestoreX indentations. And so that's kind of what ends up happening. So I highly do not recommend for you to have like very acute angles. So what I ended up doing, because I saw this, is using what's called the stick trick, also known as a fulcrum bar. So essentially what the stick trick does is you can use it with just about any extender that's of very good quality, high quality. That includes the Apex extender, the Total Man 2.0. I think you can probably use it with the upcoming Best extender, which I should be reviewing as soon as it comes out. And the beauty of it is that actually the Total Man 4.0 actually is being sold. You can buy what's called the fulcrum bar. In any case, so like, what exactly is the stick trick? What exactly is the fulcrum bar? So essentially what it is you can have this extender, right? And then you can put a stick like this, and this is the stick that I personally use. You can have one like that's kind of you can choose something maybe has a higher surface area or whatever. This is what I really like. And so essentially what you do is you put the penis on top of this, and you put the stick right where the highest point of the curvature is, and you put it there, and then you attach it like you normally would, and then you start applying traction. And what this does is it actually forces the traction forces to focus on the fulcrum, on the actual curvature, on the actual scar tissue that is causing the curvature. And so what it does is it forces that traction to focus on that point. And so it's super simple, super effective. I've done it for I did it for a long time. And, you know, I think anecdotally, if I can remember correctly, I started seeing results. You know, I did traction consistently for about a year. It gained me about an inch of gains. That was with the TotalMan 2.0. From there, I just moved on to a more maintenance routine, which I did for about another year. And now recently, in the last few months, you know, almost the last year or so, I'm really starting to pick it up. I'm trying to reach the next level of goals, and see how that's possible. And that's, you know, I use the apex extender every day. In any case, I don't use the stick trick anymore because I'm very happy with my curvature. I have such a slight upwards curvature, which I actually think is beneficial. So potentially, you know, something that you could potentially do. Now, don't follow this, don't try this at home, kids, but it's something like, let's say you want to actually develop a curvature, or well, let's say that you want to treat a ventral curvature, as I said, which is a downwards curvature. What you can do is put the stick on the bottom. Okay, you can put it on the bottom, so you can see here, and then put the penis here such that the stick lays on the top, right? And so then you can apply traction. So if you have a ventral curvature, you can essentially focus the traction at the bottom side of the tunica where that scar tissue is that's causing the ventral curvature. Or now, I've never tried this, but it might be interesting. So if this is something you may want to try, is it's essentially, if you want to actually create a curvature, this is actually potentially possible. So you can actually create an upwards curvature by using the stick trick and put in the stick at the bottom and then put in the penis here, such that the stick stays on the top, hits the top of the penis, and then you create then you apply traction here. So essentially you apply traction, and what this does is it applies the traction forces to the bottom of the penis, to you know, either that scar tissue or the healthy tissue that you want to stretch, and not so much on the top of the penis, so that you can potentially create an upwards curvature, which actually does help to hit like that A spot, to hit those spots in a woman's vagina, and girls really love it. Like, I'm actually quite happy that I have a side curvature. I don't really want to get rid of it, yeah, so I'm very happy. I have like maybe 3 to 5 degrees, I would say, of curvature, so it's quite perfect. I don't want to get rid of it, so I don't do the stick trick anymore. But it's something that, you know, I had a much more acute angle. It's hard to remember because it was so long ago, but I believe it was like maybe 10 to 15 degrees, and yeah, so like that really treated it. But I think this can work even if you have even higher degrees of curvature. So if you have Peyronie's and you're considering surgery, for example, you're considering plication, right? So which is where they put they have the penis, and then, you know, they have the curvature, and then they put stitches on the other side to kind of, like, you know, pull it in. That actually makes your penis shorter, smaller, less volume, and so it appears even smaller. It appears less thick, and so you lose size. So you absolutely you should not do that. Just use a traction device. You can use it for as little as 90 minutes a day. Obviously, the more that you use it, the better. And with the apex and with the upcoming best extender, you actually measure the tension forces. And so, for example, the RestoreX uses 5 to 6 pounds of traction when you're in the treatment zone, which is this little stick here. So, you know, you can do it with as little as 5 to 6 pounds. Obviously, if you can tolerate a little bit more, which I personally do, like, I had to work my way up to it, but it's essentially like, you know, I could apply up to like 8 to 10 pounds of tension, but it took me a long time to get there. So I highly recommend that you start with like 5 pounds, move up to 6 pounds, little by little. You know, sort of start testing the waters. In any case, you know, you can completely avoid having plication, losing size, getting surgery, getting your dick basically skinned like a fucking chicken, you know. And so this trick can absolutely make you avoid signature. So it's called the stick trick. It's absolutely effective. It's very easy to use. If you need a good extender, get the Apex extender. I have a review of it, but it works with other extenders. Actually, like I mentioned, the TotalMan 4.0, like if you don't have a very high budget, you can just get the TotalMan 4.0, which is not that expensive. It's a lot cheaper than the Apex, and then get what's called what TotalMan calls the Fulcrum bar. And so the Fulcrum bar is essentially a built-in stick that comes in, and you can use that as well. Quite effective. So you know, if you're on a budget, just save up for the TotalMan 4.0, get the Fulcrum bar, and you got it. You're good to go. And basically the Fulcrum bar is designed for the TotalMan, and is designed for exactly that, for creating a fulcrum, for treating a Peyronie's curve. Very cheap. And if you use the vacuum cup, you know, check out the TotalMan 4.0, you know, where I actually show how to use the vacuum cups. You don't have to basically get this. The RestoreX is amazing. I reviewed it before. Check out that video. But using the RestoreX is extremely uncomfortable because it clamps down on the head of the penis. So you can just use a vacuum cup, which is a lot more safer. It's a lot more comfortable, and you can wear it for a lot longer, therefore making your sessions much more comfortable. And you can always combine the dynamic tension adjustment, which I'm going to have another video on it, with other extenders. Mainly like the Apex extender is a lot easier. With the TotalMan, it's a little bit more difficult. You essentially, when you have it on, you have to add a little bit more rubber bands, 1 or 2 more rubber bands, to make sure you're applying enough tension, because the penile tissues are going to relax. But if you want to learn more about dynamic tension adjustment, make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. And if this video was at all helpful, if you try out that stick trick, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you let me know your thoughts on it. But I just want to make this quick video on the stick trick, telling you how I used it, telling you how you can actually treat your Peyronies, and potentially even cause a curvature if you're into that. Although I don't recommend it, but I'm actually quite interested to see if anyone's you know, crazy enough to try that. So if you liked this video, if you learned anything from that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button, and check out these other videos which may be relevant to you. And I'll see you next time. Peace.